With Palworld being the new biggest release of the year, you might be feeling a bit lost as to where to start exploring this new world, wanting to throw yourself at every new thing that shows up. However, you want to be prepared to face the dangers ahead, and since it's dangerous to go alone, here, take this. So let's begin with tip number 1. Build the base as soon as possible. While the excitement of wanting to go around and beat every creature you see with your bare hands is understandable, you will find your experience a lot more troublesome than if you take your time and begin working to better yourself. In this game, bases are extremely powerful, not only serving as additional fast travel locations that you can place down in most of every place, but also serving as a way to generate passive resources and upgrade your character with better gear and options. Starting from the very first level, you will need a PAL box to make a base. The resources are easy to gather, and following the missions in the PAL box will allow you to slowly upgrade your base by giving you the ability to set PALs into working mode, collecting resources around the base or working specific buildings that you can place down to target more specific needs. Bases are strong. Follow the missions and you will see your level go up very quickly. So, on to tip number 2. Vixie is your best friend. Following the previous tip, if you level up enough to get the ranch building, you might be wondering what exactly to put in here. While you probably have some good options lying around already, by far the best PAL to place here early and your number 1 capture priority should be Vixie. Vixie might not be a powerful companion in terms of combat, but when put in a ranch, it becomes one of the most powerful farms for PAL spheres that you will find. When placed in a ranch, Vixie will randomly dig up arrows, PAL meat, coins, and for our purposes, fully built PAL spheres that you can immediately use to go and catch more Vixies. Vixie can generally be found in these areas, and by all means should be your top priority starting out. This single PAL can get you enough spheres to begin your entire PAL empire. I'd recommend catching at least 4 to fully fill up a ranch, alongside any PAL that has the gathering and handcrafting skills. My personal favorites for these roles are Daydreams and Pinglets. Although, if you are struggling to find those, Cativas will work just fine early on. Setting up a ranch with as many Vixies as possible will very quickly solve any need for PAL spheres that you might have. Which does bring us to the next tip on how to best use said spheres. Tip number 3. Catch rate is a lie. So, let's get this out of the way. The catch rate that you see when you hover over a PAL is a bald-faced lie. From what I can tell, this is not actually your chance to catch the PAL altogether, but rather the chance that you will instantly catch the PAL on your first throw. If you're looking at a more accurate representation of your chances, you're looking for the number that appears after the sphere has closed. Every shake that occurs afterwards will result in one of 3 outcomes. Either the ball shakes again, increases your chance of a capture by a pretty massive amount, the PAL breaks free, or you capture it. So even PALs that might have a low initial chance might not be as impossible to catch as the game makes you think. Especially because there are many ways to increase the catch rate. The first one is simple. Lower the health of the PAL. The lower the health, the better. Status effects can also improve the chances of capture, but since these can be a bit unreliable, as you risk killing the PAL in the process, I prefer to look at other methods, like the sneaking method. Fun fact, while a PAL is not aggressive, if you manage to aim at its back with a PAL sphere, you will gain a massive boost to your initial catch rate called a back bonus. Generally, relying on this will be worse than trying to catch the PAL at low health, but this can actually be a really good way of getting PALs that are way stronger than you. Throw a ball at a PAL's back, and then begin running. If you catch it, good, no more steps needed. If not, well, you at least have a head start now. Lastly, and probably the easiest method, collect statues, and pray at the Statue of Power. The Statues of Power can be found all around the map inside broken churches, or they can be crafted and placed anywhere by learning the blueprint with ancient technology. For those wondering, ancient technology points can be acquired by beating bosses. If you collect these green statues, you can then increase your catching level, which gives you a pretty hefty boost to catch rate. and also gives you a very compelling reason to explore every corner of the island in search of these. Or, you could just build better Paul spheres. But that brings us to the next tip. Tip number 4. Collect, consume, conquer. Exploration will always be rewarded in this game. Not only in the shape of the aforementioned statues, but also in the shape of the chests that you can occasionally find. These chests will typically give you gold that you can spend in settlements for materials, or spheres that you can use in your travels. But the rarer ones can actually give you blueprints for enhanced equipment, accessories that can boost your stats, or even skill fruits that can teach your pals powerful abilities that they wouldn't have normally. With the last one being a particularly good incentive, as they can also be found in the form of these blue trees that are scattered around the map. The ability to have extra skills is incredibly good, so make sure to grab them whenever you can. Also, try to keep an eye out when you're exploring, as it is possible to find random Paul eggs. A good number of them have rare Pauls that are either exceedingly difficult to find in the wild, or are very difficult to catch. The larger the eggs, the rarer the Paul, with the huge ones having very strong Pauls hitting with it. Eggs can be a really good way to gain powerful allies, although you might want to turn on hatching speed if you want to add the quickly to my statement. Exploration can be very rewarding, but doing so on your frail human legs might be a bit difficult. So, you might want to get the help of some strong Pauls before you head out of your base. Which brings us to the last point. Tip number 5. Build a team for exploration. There are many pals out there that excel in many different things, but having a Paul team dedicated towards being able to both explore and catch rare Pauls that you might encounter should be a top priority for many players that are starting out. So, with that in mind, I will present you what I consider to be some of the better Pauls out there that one can aim to catch early on. While I won't go too into details about them, they should give you a really good idea of what to look for and the roles that you kind of want to fill when making your team. In general, you want to fill at least these 3 roles. Something for mobility, something for tracking, and something for sustained damage dealing. Most of these are pretty self-explanatory, so I'll skip the explanation and jump right into it. Mobility can be a bit hard to find, especially since pretty much all the options will require gear of some sort. But 2 of the easiest ones out there are Direhowl and Nightwing. Both can be found in the wild nearing the starting zone, and both are relatively easy to kite or to isolate into areas where you can weaken much easier. They can both serve as good early mounts, especially for the level their gears unlock at, with Nightwing only needing level 15 to already have a full-on flying mount. Serpent is also a really good option here, but it is also a lot harder to acquire, with the most reliable early source being that of an egg. For tracking, we do actually have a really good selection of pals though. Whether it be resource tracking, dungeons, or even other pals, you will likely be able to find someone to help you in your search. However, the one that I want to spotlight here is Tombat. These Pauls have a very long range sensor ability that allows you to know the location of every Paul within a pretty large radius, somewhere around 250 to 300 units, give or take. Early on, this can be a really good way of getting the first catch EXP bonus whenever you head into a new territory, not to mention that it also makes finding specific Pauls a lot easier. Try to catch one of these if given the chance, just be careful, they only spawn at night. Lastly, we come to the last role, Sustained DPS. This game is a survival monster catcher. Having a source of sustained DPS on the press of a button can help you achieve these 2 things. As long as the damage is good, and you can be in full control of the output, any Paul that fits these 2 criteria can fit this role. For me though, I find that Leaf Monk is the best choice for this. Well, at least he is when you give him a Tommy gun and send him into Mafia training. Jokes aside, his submachine gun skill is actually a perfect way to weaken Pauls that you want to catch, while minimizing the chances of them dying. Being able to access it really early on is also a massive boon. Besides, just look at him. Those are the eyes of a cold-blooded murderer. Ultimately, what your exploration team looks like will be up to you, but having access to any of these spawns will certainly make life easier. And while there are many more tips that I want to give, they will have to wait for next time. This has been Portals, out.